And when I came up before an audience, I was rusty. I could not get my thoughts together. I could not have the power, the kind of confidence that I needed in order to make it happen.
You're going to need vision. What is vision? Vision is the ability to imagine life as you want it to be.
If you haven't been good enough, that's okay. What is not okay is accepting that and doing nothing about it.
You have got to do better each and every day. You have got to grow stronger each and every day. You have got to stop allowing things that doesn't concern you. Enough to hurt you and put you down because your depletion becomes something else. Because once you feel depleted and you're not realizing that maybe I'm just a little tired but I'm not dead, but you're focusing too much on the weakness and you're thinking because you're depleted you're done. Then maybe you are done, maybe you're not truly as strong as you think you are, maybe you don't really have that mental fortitude, maybe you've just been faking, maybe you're just not cut out for this. Because there's always people out there that are looking at you and waiting for you to fail, waiting on you to give up.
So whatever you want to do, whatever idea that you have, the longer that you're sitting on that idea, you're either creating or you are disintegrating. If you're not using it, your skills are diminishing every day. I was on a television program the other day. A lady called in and she said, there's something I'd like to ask you. And I said, what is it? She said, well, I have this thing I want to do, but I've been unemployed. I lost my job for 2 years. I haven't been able to find a job. I don't have the money and I don't have the contacts and I really don't know what to do. I said, excuse me. I said, the fact that you don't have the money or the contacts really is not the issue. I said, what's the real issue? She said, what do you mean? I said, what's stopping you from doing what you want to do? She said, well, I don't know. I said, but if you did know, what would your answer be?
Yeah, right now you need vision. If you're going to build legacy, if you're going to be the first in your family to accomplish some things, if you're going to break the cycles that have been running through your family, you're going to have a vision. Right now, what's your 5-year vision? Yep, I said 5 years, but that's not even enough. You need a 10-year vision. You need a 20-year vision. You need the kind of vision that wakes you up in the morning. You need the kind of vision that drives you. You need the kind of vision that slaps you when you feel like getting tired and going to sleep. You need the kind of vision that pushes you when you don't know how you're going to continue. What's your 20-year vision? I need you to get a vision. Yeah, I need you to see what the next 10 years looks like. I need you to see what the next 5 years looks like. I need you to see yourself winning. I know that is difficult right now, but your vision said you're going to win. Yep, I know there's a storm that's coming and raging and warring against you, but you got to have a vision that keeps you in the fight, even when it feels like you're about to quit.
She said, well, I think maybe I'm afraid. I said, what are you afraid of? Maybe I might fail. See, a lot of people allow fear to stop them from living their dream. Answer your calling. Whatever you're called to do, don't count yourself out. Don't say, I can't do that. You're bombarded with negative stuff every day that beats you down, and you will find yourself unconsciously engaged in self-destructive behavior. If you don't program yourself, life will program you. It's got to be your passion. You got to love it, ladies and gentlemen. You got to love it. It's got to be what you are supposed to do. You want to sing, and even though they want to invite you to Carnegie Hall, you're going to sing to anybody that listens to you, including singing to yourself. I used to talk to my plants when nobody else would listen to me. You're supposed to build something, you're supposed to create something. I don't know how to do it. Learn.
You are the one that's got to get married. You're the one that's got to tell everybody this thing can happen. This thing can be good. And part of the reason why there's so much pressure on you is because you know that you are called to be the first. Part of the reason why you carry such weight is because you know you are called to be the first. Thank God for the second and the third and the fourth. Thank God for the last. But truth be told, you have been placed on this earth to be the first. There are many of you, you have a sword in your hand, but somebody called it a stick. And you need to say, this is not a stick, it's a sword. That's not just a book in your hand, that's your sword. That's not just an idea, that's your sword. That's not just a dancing gift, that's your sword.
You let everybody tell you it's okay, you should stop, don't do it. Start over why. Are you starting over just start up and keep going? Enough of quitting, enough of not wanting to push yourself and get the most of your life. It's difficult. I know challenges are going to come. I know, in fact, it's even more difficult for many of us because of certain circumstances that we deal with day in and day out, but we cannot quit. We must balance ourselves. We must be willing to give 110% of everything we have, because all we got is what we got, and what we got is what we must be willing to give. But don't give in and give up and put quit in your mind and let it destroy you.
Take responsibility. Responsibility that you haven't been at your best, and responsibility that you are committed to do better. What can you do today that will make your future better? Do that every day.
You can't give up on yourself. Humble yourself, man. His blessings is his blessings, and your blessings is your blessings. Go get what's yours. Go get what's yours. Every day you should wake up with a chip on your shoulder. And this ain't really got nothing to do with you being better than nobody.
Do not wait for tomorrow to go out and fight for your dreams. Today is the right time. You have all the strength you need to make your goals come true. It all depends on the desire you put into it. Strive now. Ask yourself this question: if not now, when? Don't sit around waiting for things to happen, because they won't happen to you. You must go out for them. Fight for what you want to achieve. Draw up an action plan so that your dreams stop being dreams and become reality. Demand more. You are capable of giving more.
You haven't lost anything. You're just going through the challenges. And with challenges comes great rewards, but you've got to keep the faith. You've got to stay hopeful, not hopeless. You've got to continue to go on. And look up. I speak about looking up often, because that's the best thing you could ever do. Keeping your eyes on the sky and looking beyond it, and not looking down on your misery, and not concerning yourself about things that you cannot control, because we tend to get ourselves wrapped up in that from time to time. Get away from it and believe in yourself. Have the strength and the fortitude to carry on. And when other people don't want to be there where you are, then maybe that's the time to cut that away. Don't let all of this heavyweight bring you down. Believe and understand that your process is necessary. Understand that you're going to get where you need to get.
This ain't got nothing to do with you being better than nobody. This about you being and doing better for your family, your friends, and most importantly, this is about you going out there into the world, impacting other people by sharing the good news, if you know what I mean. Man, look, young one, this one for you. You ain't gonna be happy every day of your life, and that's simply because your happiness is all based off your circumstances. But young one, if you can't be happy every day, that's okay. That's okay. Because although you may not be happy today, you can still be full of joy every single day.
Why? Because at the moment we establish a commitment with ourselves, we must know that we are capable of that and more. A person in search of excellence does not like to be in his comfort zone. It is all or nothing. Even if sometimes you don't want to or feel like you can't, you should. Fight, strive, give everything to reach the top. And when you arrive, you can enjoy the long-awaited reward. Achieve your goals. Trust yourself. Give yourself a vote of confidence. Believe yourself capable of winning this fight. Because only by believing in yourself can you achieve everything you set out to do.
You got to be on top of your game, and you got to keep making moves, and you got to stay strong, you got to stay powerful, and you've got to keep on moving. That's how you get to that level. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on the possibilities. Stay strong, stay productive, stay powerful, and from the bottom of my heart, conduct your business. These are some difficult times, and many people have fell onto those difficult times, but it is the challenges that makes us great. The challenges is what builds us up. Each living human being that can hear my voice on this day, I need you to believe. Once again, I need you to understand that you are not done yet. Every struggle that you have been through, every hardship that you had to encounter, you did what must be done.
I could do something different and get a different result. So I want that sting. I want to know I tried something and it didn't work because I want to trigger.
Long as you're here, you have a chance to transcend yourself. So don't believe in perfection. It doesn't exist. It only makes improvement. So I would practice every day, every day, every day.
So again, when you think about these guys enhance their abilities. They go beyond and they exceed expectations because it's that mindset of wanting to be great. I think Kobe said it best, and I think a lot of athletes that are, hovering around that stratosphere of being great and considered one of the greatest is that it's a relentless pursuit of greatness.
I think we always have said the easiest thing to do is hold that trophy. That's the easiest thing to do in this process. And that's only going to be for a very short amount of time. The work, the will, the commitment. Like I said, not getting up when you're knocked down. I mean, throughout Kobe's career, in Michael's career, LeBron's career, Dwayne's career, Magic Johnson's career, there's always going to be these struggles that or challenges that you have to get over, and the hardest part is in you trying to be one of the best in the game.
Focus and memory, and I want to look at what I could do differently next time to get a better result. Because I know while other people are laughing at me, I'm laughing back at them because on a long enough timeline, I can be anyone at anything because I can self-soothe. I don't need it to be somebody else's problem. I don't need to point fingers at other people. I don't need to blame the culture. I don't need to blame society. I don't need to blame anybody other than myself. And even that word doesn't have power over me. It doesn't make me feel badly about myself. Yes, I am the cause of this problem, in as much as had I done something different, I would have gotten a different result. Now that makes me feel empowered. So now I'm in this powerful loop of taking on the responsibility, saying I can do something different. I can change this. I can get a better result.
And finally, I went over to this radio station, asked a guy for a job named Mr. Butterwall, and I said, how you doing, sir? I'd like to get a job. I was working on Miami Beach at the Fontainebleau Hotel at the time. Jackie Gleason and the June Taylor dancers were famous. And my favorite program on television, most people would not remember, John Beresford Tipton. Hi, my name is Michael Anthony. I have a check for $1 million. How many of you remember that program, all right? The Millionaire, that was my favorite program on television, So this was my fantasy, and every time we would drive from Miami Beach, I would fantasize, oh, that's the house. When I get my million, I'm going to buy my mother that home over there. So that was my fantasy. So I went up to Mr. Butterball, and he said, do you have any radio experience? I said, no, sir. Do you have any background in journalism? I said, no, sir. I said, but I can never get experience if you don't give me the opportunity. I've been practicing a lot, sir. He said, I'm sorry, we don't have any job for you. I said, thank you, sir.
But I wanted that sting of really staring at my inadequacies, really looking at and analyzing my failure. And then I know, repeating ideas, right? This hurts. With next time I'm going to be better. And I'm not going to sit in that pain for very long because I understand, I need a brief moment of pain. If I spend too much time there, I'm going to get lost in the pain and I'm not going to do what I need to do, which is improve. So I never allow myself to wallow in that suffering. I want it, but I want it briefly, just enough to trigger the action. Now, how do I make sure that I walk that fine line? By one very simple thing, a rule in my life that says I only do and believe that which moves me towards my goals. So if believing that I need to beat myself up and suffer and realize that I'm a loser, if that was going to move me towards my goal, which is fulfillment at the highest level, of course, there are times where you're going to slice that up and it's going to be what are the exact things that I need to do to reach fulfillment.
He didn't know my reasons for being there. My reason, I wanted to use radio as a means to earn the money to buy my mother a home. I went back to the radio station again. I said, how you doing, Mr. Butterball? My name is Les Brown. I know your name. Didn't I just see you here yesterday? I said, yes, sir. I said, y'all have any jobs here? Didn't I tell you yesterday we didn't have any jobs? Yes, sir, but I thought maybe somebody got fired or resigned. I don't know, sir. I went the next day. How you doing, Mr. Butterball? He said, yes. And I just didn't take it personal. How you doing? So y'all have any jobs here? Didn't I just tell you yesterday and the day before we didn't have any work? I went the next day, showed up like nothing was wrong, like I saw him for the first time. How you doing, Mr. Butterball? Y'all have any? He said, boy, make yourself useful. Go get me some food. I said, yes, sir. See, many times when you want more, you've got to be willing to pay your dues. So I became their errand boy. I would get their lunch and their dinner and all kind of food for them. After a while, I would take the food to them in the control room, and I would not leave until they would ask me to, and I'd watch them working the controls, and I'd memorize their hand movements. And pretty soon, they would trust me with their cars to go pick up entertainers.
There's going to be a tension with it. Right, you're put on a pedestal, and you fall even harder when you do. So I really had to learn how much you have to prepare, you have to live it. You have to want it so bad to where you'll sacrifice those Saturday nights or Friday nights with your friends. You know I'm gonna sacrifice if you're in high school or something and the dance is this week, if there's more dances I'm going to the gym, this is what I'm going to put my time into because this is what I want. And being around all of those great players, getting to see their commitments, see their rituals, see how much they put into the game.
If you just stay on course, it'll take you further than you can ever imagine. I think for me personally, what set me apart, I think from everyone else, is that my dedication and my discipline and just the execution of being consistent is what put me in a different stratosphere, just put me on a different level. And I think people were able to see that. Sometimes, like I said, I didn't want to just blend in. I wanted to stand out. When you start to become successful,
character is the person you are after you've chiseled and have gotten past all the unnecessary material to what's underneath. But since we're usually surrounded by other people, let me be a little more specific about how the differences between a charismatic person and a person with character can play out in the real world, particularly in leadership situations. Here are 4 sets of circumstances that can easily occur. First, a really charismatic person can make people believe there's pie in the sky, or that the sky is going to fall tomorrow, one just as easily as the other. By creating these expectations, charismatic individuals can indeed energize and inspire others, or terrify and demotivate them, until the overblown scenarios are proven false.
It was second to none. Always take those processes. If you have a goal, there will be obstacles. In your way, you can climb them, you can run around, and you can do everything, but you're going to have to put the work in to make sure that you accomplish your dreams. The most critical piece of advice that I've ever gotten, and I won't name who it is, from a coach. One day, all he said, and paint the picture for you, I was a rookie. I'm 19 years old, I'm playing with guys old enough to be my dad. I'm getting thrown around, I'm playing a level of basketball that I'm barely hanging on by a nail with, but I'm one of our best players, so I'm playing every night. I want to go home, I'm not used to the cold.
You're not going to be 100% liked by everyone. There's so many layers and so many elements of being a professional athlete and being in that sport. You're going to be subjected to criticism. Whether you do good or bad, people are going to talk about you, good, bad, or what have you, but you have to be strong-willed, and I think that's who and how I was, and I think a lot of that, like I said, stemmed from the upbringing of my grandmother. But at the end of the day, I think an athlete, again, to get to where you want to be and the process in which it takes to get there, you have to be addicted to bettering yourself. You have to be addicted to bettering yourself. And that's what I became. You have a relentless pursuit of really just perfection, greatness. Obviously, it boils down to my 3 Ds: desire, dedication, and discipline.
And the charisma runs out. But a person of character doesn't need to be anyone's Pied Piper and isn't comfortable in that role. Instead, he or she looks within for the true source of inspiration and energy. Second, a charismatic person can inspire devoted or even fanatical loyalty. But this can all too easily turn into an unconscious sense of dependency, and that can make matters difficult when the leader is no longer available. Like a charismatic coach, effective during the glory years, but when he leaves the organization, there is a sense of abandonment, and the team may never achieve anything like its prior success. Powerful personalities often resist delegating authority, but it's an attitude of character for a leader to refrain from making himself or herself the indispensable heart and soul of an organization.
I'm just kidding, I'm getting beat up, but I wouldn't quit and I was looking for this piece of advice from someone. And all they told me was just like they would always tell me, hey man, keep going, just keep going. All the time, every time, and I got so mad because I'm looking for that euphoric feeling from the piece of information that they're about to give me, right? That's why I think we all kind of struggle sometimes, looking for that and putting too much pressure on the situation. But as I got older, as I continued to train, as I continued to not give up and not let a loss define me or my character.
Well, by the same token, you don't have to force yourself or motivate yourself to think negatively, to be depressed, to hate somebody, to want revenge, to want to get back at somebody, to beat yourself up over the head, to feel loaded with guilt. You don't have to make any effort to do that. Your mind is on automatic. It will do that by itself. But if you want to begin to move into your own personal greatness, if you want to begin to really enjoy a happy, successful, healthy life, you've got to be willing to go against the tide. You've got to be willing to harness your will and say, in spite of this, I'm in control here. I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let this destroy me. I'm coming back, and I'll be stronger and better because of it. You have got to make a declaration that this is what you stand for. You're standing up for your dreams. You're standing up for peace of mind. You're standing up for health. You want it, and you're going to go all out to have it. It's not going to be easy when you want to change. It's not easy. If it were in fact easy, everybody would do it. But if you're serious, you'll go all out. So yes, I'm going to turn this situation around. I'm not going to sit back and moan and cry over what happened and what went wrong and who did what. I'm going to do something about this situation. The next thing that is important is that expect things to get better for you, because they are. See, life is cyclic. You're not, whatever experience you're having right now, it has not come to stay. It has come to pass. Not to stay, just to pass. It's just going through. The biggest challenge is to know what's happening. This is a part of this thing we call life. This too shall pass. And maintaining perspective, putting it in perspective.
Discipline is like a set of magic keys that unlocks all the doors of wealth, happiness, sophistication, culture, high self-esteem, pride, joy, accomplishment, satisfaction, and success. The first key to discipline is awareness of the need for and the value of discipline, and especially the discipline to make the changes. What will it take? What must I do? And what must I become to get all I want from my life? The second key is the willingness. More than that, the eagerness to maintain your new discipline deliberately, wisely, consistently. And the third key to discipline is the commitment to master the circumstances of your daily life, to see and harness the opportunities to make something of the sun and the rain, the good as well as what comes in the guise of misfortune. Discipline does many things, but most important of all is what it does for you. It makes you feel better about yourself. Even the smallest discipline can have an incredible effect on your attitude. And the good feeling you get, that surging feeling of self-worth that comes from starting a new discipline, is almost as good as the feeling that comes from the accomplishment of the discipline. Second, a new discipline immediately alters your life direction. You don't change destinations immediately. That is yet to come. But you can change direction immediately. And direction is very important. Third, discipline cooperates with nature. Everything strives. It is a common life function. How tall will a tree grow? As tall as it can. Everything strives to become all it can possibly be. And that striving to become is what discipline is all about. Disciplining ourselves to fulfill our natural potential to become all that we can be. And finally, discipline attracts opportunity. Opportunity is always looking for ambition and skill in action. Discipline taps the unlimited power of commitment. The human will in action, driven by inspiration, enticed by desire, tempered by reason, guided by intelligence, can bring you to that high and lofty place called the good life.
Most people can't tolerate the deep phase. I'm gonna tell you, my God in heaven, let me tell you what he did. He repurposed my entire mess and built me a masterpiece. It protects the house. When there's a flood, that house doesn't get hit. It's got a bazillion goddamn rocks all over the place. And then the foundation foundation's that, those stones are that, the entire house is protected that way. And then we took the dadgum water and we diverted it into the most incredible waterfall, ask Ryan Stewman, you've ever seen in your life. There's a waterfall that runs from 100 yards up my hill all the way down cascading into the lake. Those rocks literally diverted the water that was coming from my family down into the lake. It repurposed my mess into building my dream. Let me remind you of something. Your mess right now in your life, if you got one going, does not disqualify you from making your dream happen. Everyone around you at some point is going to think you're crazy. There's going to be a point where your life was jackhammered and dynamited into a complete mess. And I'm telling you, from those greatest adversities, this is not rah-rah, I'm living proof of it, became one of my great dreams. And from that home is where I met all my mentors, have done the majority of my business deals. My net worth since I built that house has increased about $300 million from that mess, right? I tell you that because that's going to happen for you. You got to be able to bend time. Man, do you hear me on this? There's a few things I know in my life, and I know what I'm telling you is right. Now, you better be able to do all the things you don't want to do as long as you can, so you can do all the things you want to do. You got to do all the things you don't want to do as fast as you can, so you can do all the things you want to do for as long as you can. Because you got 8 years left. Time's clicking. My life changed on time when I was 30 years old. You have anybody in your family that you resemble? You have someone like, you look like your uncle or your auntie. You have anybody like that? Yes or no? Some of you? Mine was my Uncle Mike. It's my godfather. I'm Italian. It's kind of a big deal. It's my dad's only brother. He passed away walking through the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in the lobby at 50 years old of a massive heart attack. I went back to his funeral, and when I went back to his funeral, on the way back, the Oprah Winfrey Show was on TV. I'm going to give you a tip right now. There's a thing in your brain, I write about it in my book, called the Reticular Activating System. It's called the RAS. It's the part of your brain that keeps you sane so that you don't notice all the stimulus in your life. It filters into you that which you're deeply convicted of or which is important to you. You will literally see, hear, and feel things that you would not otherwise see when something is very important to you. Let me prove it to you. You ever walk into a crowded room and you're looking for a particular person in that room? The rest of the room begins to blur out as you're looking for that. And when we left that room, if I said you were looking for Sarah, there were 40 people in there. When you leave, I said, who were the other 25 people in that room? You have no cognition whatsoever who the other people were in the room, because what was important to you was Sarah. How many of you have ever bought a new car before? You bought a red Acura. All of a sudden, you got that red Acura. Isn't it interesting? You see red Acuras all over the damn road. Same lane, 3 lanes over, going the wrong direction. You're like, man, everyone's got damn red Acuras. No, they were always there, but they were filtered out because they were not in your importance. If you're going to win, hear all this crap about the secret. There's some validity to it, but here's the truth. There's a reason in your brain that this is all true. It's called the reticular activating system. And if you learn to get super obsessed, your obsessions become your possessions. That's not a meme, that is a fact. When you begin to repeat a thought and a vision to yourself over and over and over again, like that house, over and over and over and over again, like the sale, like the best deal, like the steal on the street, like the investor you need to find, like the buyer you need to find, your RAS filters out like the Matrix and begins to find your red Acura for you. And if you don't begin to learn to control that, you lose against someone like me who understands it.
Because out of every tragedy, out of every pain, it only gets healed when we find a deeper meaning, when we find there's a higher purpose in it. And I realized I wouldn't have been there that day. I wouldn't have that hunger to help somebody else if I hadn't had the hunger in my own soul at one point missing. So it's very personal to me. I want to thank all of you that made the contributions. And I told Mark and I've announced that I'm going to match the 1 million meals if you hit it. And I'm sure as hell expecting that you will. People who say money doesn't matter, they don't know where to shop. Because there's some experiences you can buy that are extraordinary. Who's got some experiences, some trips, some things you've done with family or friends that will live with you for years? Who knows what I'm talking about here, right? Those things, that money can be a really valuable tool there. If you can find enough add value and have money and do those experiences, how cool. I'll tell you what else money research shows will do. People always say money doesn't matter once you get to a certain level. No, it matters. You can spend $5 a month and have more emotional juice, and it can be measured all the way down into your saliva by hormonal changes. You want to use money, not let money use you.
But here's the problem. I used to be a head chef in a smorgasbord when I was much younger and used to cook. And working in a restaurant is an interesting thing because the church, in essence, is a restaurant. It is a restaurant. And let me tell you something. When you go to a restaurant, we choose restaurants, yes, because the food is good, but half of the reason we pick the restaurant is because of the ambiance, the atmosphere. Whether it be a casual atmosphere that you really, really enjoy, or I tend to like pristine atmospheres with white tablecloths and elegance and excellence and crystal and china and all the stuff I didn't get growing up. I'm still restoring that to the cankerworms. And glory to God. Thank you, Jesus. I'm still eating steaks today because when my father ate steaks, we ate hamburger with gravy on it. and I'm still getting even. I just eat a steak and say, see, I'm grown. That's how I got this big, being grown. Bless God. But the church is a lot like a restaurant. When you go to a restaurant, everything out front is real nice, and the music is playing, and the violin, and so the singer is singing over in the corner, and you got the white tablecloth, and you got the crystal goblets and the china, and everybody's putting their, isn't that something about putting a napkin in your lap? That's when you know you really have arrived. When the service is so good that somebody just comes up and just puts a napkin all in you. First time they did that, I thought they was getting fresh, you know. I thought, now, of course, I've been on the road a while, you know, but anyway, let me get past that. And so you're having this, maybe I should have stopped it tonight. I don't want to mess you up. But you have this great experience in the restaurant, but that's not how it is in the kitchen. In the kitchen, you got leftover lettuce heads over in the corner that you got to throw away, and you got stuff bubbling and boiling and cooking and spilling over, and people are yelling at one another. I said, bring the soup. It's behind. We got to get out front. They say, may I help you? It's not like that in the kitchen. In the kitchen, all hell is breaking loose.
I remember when I was stuck in anger for a long time, when I made a commitment to my adopted mother that I was going to purchase her a home. I'll never forget the experience of working real hard to get the money for the down payment. Someone had told me of a beautiful home in an exclusive area of Miami. Went to see it, took my mother there, and she said, yes, I want it. It was on the water. We went to the closing. My attorney said, Les, have you had a title search? I said, what's a title search? Well, we just take a couple of days to check it out and make sure there are no liens against the property that you might have to pay if you buy this home. The guy who was there selling me the house, he said, listen, he said, the only reason that I'm selling you this house and selling it at a loss is because I admire the fact that you want to purchase this house for your mother. I have another guy who will give me substantially more money, but I like it, and I've got to get back to Philadelphia. Now, if we cannot consummate this deal now, then the deal is off. I said, there are no liens against the property? He says, no, of course not. I looked at my attorney. I said, I believe him. I'll sign. She said, Mr. Brown, I'm not questioning his honesty. She said, but business is business. I signed that contract. And we had a big celebration. Everybody in the neighborhood was talking about Leslie coming home, one of the twins that Mamie adopted, to buy her a home. Child, isn't that nice? God is going to bless him. A few weeks later, I received a letter, a registered letter, indicating that the house was going up for sheriff's sale. On the courthouse steps, a man had filed a $12,000 lien against the property because the previous owner owed him that money. And if I did not come up with $12,000 in 30 days, he was going to sell the house to the highest bidder. I called this man and said, mister, my name is Les Brown. I purchased this house. I had nothing to do with your prior bill. He said, that's not my problem. He said, you should have had a title search. I said, can you give me time? I said, my mother is an older lady. She has a bad heart. And I said, please. I said, if you just give me the time, I don't know how I'm going to do it with the house note and everything else, but I think I can pay you at least $2,000 a month, and within 6 months, somehow I will pay you your money. He said, no, I want it all in 30 days or you get out. I did everything I could, racked my mind thinking about how I could get $12,000 because I took everything I could to get the money just for the down payment and the closing. I finally had to face the reality that I wasn't going to be able to do it. I was up around 2 o'clock in the morning, walking back and forth, thinking, how was I going to tell my mother this? My children were there in the room sleeping all night long. I agonized over this. I lost over 23 pounds. Pretty soon I went in the room where my mother was sleeping, and I said, Mama, I got down on my knees by the bed. I said, Mama, I got to talk to you. And she said, what's wrong? I said, Mama, I said, we got to get out the house. I said, in my haste to buy the house, I made a mistake. She said, that's all right, baby. I didn't like this house anyhow. I said, Mama, you told me you loved it. I brought our friends out here to see it. She said, you know I have arthritis in my knees, and I don't like going up the steps, but I knew it made you happy. You loved it so much. I said, Mom, I've lost 23 pounds, agonizing over this. Well, we had to pack up and go back to the old house down the street from Northwestern High School in Liberty City. All those neighbors who came out and saw us leave, those neighbors were there as we were coming back. We went in the house, the roaches were playing cards, saying, come on in and take a hand. I was wiped out. I was embarrassed and humiliated. Words cannot encompass the symbolism of what I felt. I remember when I was unloading the furniture and I began to cry. My sister came by. You know you didn't have any money to buy no house, Mr. Big Time. Hadn't given me a quarter. You know mama got a bad heart. Now y'all back where you belong. As I was crying and my head down, taking furniture in, my mama said, hold your head up. I said, Mama, I just feel so bad about this, Mama. She said, hold your head up and dry your tears. You have nothing to be ashamed of. And I did.
Now we could talk of the wealth of experience, the wealth of friends, the wealth of love, the wealth of family, the wealth of culture, wealth of many kinds. However, in this program, we are more specifically going to talk about wealth in the sense of financial freedom. Wealth that comes from the conversion of effort and enterprise into currency and equity. For each of us, the amount of money required to be wealthy will differ, but the dream for all of us, I'm sure, is the same. Freedom from financial pressure, more freedom of choice, freedom to enjoy, and the opportunity to create and to share. Wealth, the possession of great financial resources that improves the quality of your life and gives you added dignity and expanded lifestyle. So decide for yourself what wealth means to you. Latch on to your own mental image of wealth, and let's see if the ideas I'm about to bring to you will make sense and perhaps provide you with the inspiration to put the plan into high action, so that as the days pass, you will discover a growing sense of freedom and dignity, self-worth, substance, and lifestyle.
Elijah's in the cave. And let me tell you something that's amazing. I realized something. Nobody saw him under the juniper tree, and nobody saw him in the cave. The last time he was in public was on Mount Carmel. And on Mount Carmel, he was Superman. So everybody thinks he's Superman. Only God knows that he's Clark Kent. Isn't it funny how everybody can think you're better than you are, stronger than you are? Oh, you know, when you're good at what you do, people use you, almost abuse you, which is really a compliment because they can count on you. They don't think that you're human. Oh, Mary's just always nice. Oh, Frida's just always good at her job. Oh, Pastor so-and-so just always, he's just amazing. He's amazing. Our pastor's just amazing. He's amazing. I just went to First Central and oh, it's just amazing. It's amazing. Well, they see you on Mount Carmel. Nobody knows about your juniper trees and your caves. Nobody sees your secret places of frustration but God. And he's up under the juniper tree. And I think, you know, sometimes I think you ought to take a moment and just thank God that he gives you privacy with your pain. A luxury you will not have if you continue to succeed, I might add. Because the benchmark of when you really go mainstream, the hardest thing to have is privacy with your pain. So while you're fighting to be discovered and fighting to be exposed, be careful. Because once that light hits you, it don't just show your Carmel, your Mount Carmel. It shines right up under your juniper tree and right into your cave and into your kids' caves. Be careful what you ask for, you might get it.
If you have nothing, I live in Fiji a portion of the time. I have a home there, a resort there, and families and villages there that I interact with for the last 25 years. When you go to Fiji, you walk down the street, you drive by, and people jump up and they yell, "Bula, bula, bula," which means welcome, be happy, we love you. And you drive by 5 minutes later and they jump up, "Bula, bula, bula." And you're going like, what drugs are they taking? No one's paying them, but they're so happy. They're in such a different state. They've learned to focus on something else and come up with a different meaning for life. But if the meaning is it's the end, if the meaning is that you're dissing me, if the meaning is you don't care, whatever meaning we come up with, that affects the third decision, which is what am I going to do? And what people do is based on the meaning, since the meaning creates emotion, right? You can be miserable no matter what you have, and you can be euphoric having nothing. We all know it's true. In fact, is it possible to learn to, like, for example, all hell could be breaking loose around you, and you could just be sitting in a chair in this centered space, all hell breaking loose, and you could still feel great? Is that possible? Yes or no? Yes or no? Sure, but you and I live in a Western culture. Well, if you sit and bliss out, people come and take your furniture.
Knowledge equals execution and speed. I don't run 24-hour days. I don't even think that way. Does that help you? Yes or no? It's a total difference. Next thing you need to do, you need to stop negotiating the price tag in your life. Here's the fact. I'll give you the facts, okay? The fact of the matter is that when I was struggling, I was constantly negotiating whether it was worth it. Is it worth it? I'm away from my family. What's costing me money? I had to come to this seminar. Is it when you're negotiating the price you're paying all the time? Does that sound familiar to you? Yes or no? Or the people around you are negotiating the price you're paying all the time. When I was poor and broke, when I would walk into a store, we all relate to this. I didn't look at what I wanted. I looked at price tags. I flipped them up. What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? I can get that one. What's it cost? When I looked at at a menu, what's it cost, I'll get back. People who come from scarcity and are poor thinkers are constantly negotiating price. Wealthy people, there's a thin veil. They negotiate worth. There's a difference between cost and worth. Is what I'm doing worth it? Is what I'm doing worth it? Not what's it costing me. In fact, the price you will pay for not winning is infinitely greater the rest of your life than the price you will ever pay to win. But you're negotiating it too often. Vacillating. It takes your energy. It strips your focus. For most people, their will to win is for sale. For most people, with enough failure, enough setbacks, enough adversity, you can buy them. They will relent. They will sell their dream. They'll sell their kids. They'll sell their future. This is the truth. You remember I said this to you because you're going to face this moment. There's going to be a point in time in your life where what you know is not enough. And if you're me, when I arrive at those points, I got to find something higher than me to pull me through. That's me. How many of you would consider yourself, I shouldn't ask you that. If you consider yourself a person of faith, you relate to what I'm talking about. You will eventually in your life arrive at a point where all your preparation, all your knowledge will not be enough, and you're going to have to rely on your faith and the decision you've made where you've negotiated the price in advance before it hits. Because for most people, enough of that, they'll relent. Yeah, it just wasn't for me. Yeah, it's just, the industry, the market changed, interest rates went up. We went into that market where just everybody was getting their butt handed to them. I learned all this stuff, just the timing was right. Or, you don't know about where I live. Where we live, this stuff doesn't